Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we've gathered your stack of sources, and we're using them to figure out the real value of one of the world's most fascinating, but maybe often misunderstood, island nations.
Hmm,
We're pointing the compass way out, far out into the Atlantic, about 500 kilometers off the coast of West Africa, near Senegal.
right.
We are diving deep into the archipelago of 10 volcanic islands known as Cabo Verde, or Cape Verde.
And deep is definitely the right word here. Our mission really is to get you far beyond that simple image of a, winter sun package holiday place.
Yeah, the fly and flop idea.
Exactly. Our sources, they really establish Cape Verde's core identity as this truly stunning cultural and geographical meeting point. It's a place where, well, the ghosts of Portuguese colonial history kind of meet and merge with these
Yeah.
powerful, vibrant African rhythms.
Creating something totally unique.
Totally, a synthesis you won't find anywhere else. It's really an archipelago of extraordinary contrasts.
Okay, let's unpack that contrast straight away because it seems like the entire national experience is defined by this amazing paradox.
It really is.
On the surface, right, the whole country seems to run on its national motto, its guiding principle, no stress.
Yeah, no stress.
It promises pure, simple, guaranteed relaxation. Just chill out.
It does promise that, and that's the immediate welcoming vibe you get, that surface
Yeah.
level. But underneath that sunny, easygoing exterior, there's this profound, really soulful melancholy. It kind of permeates the music, the literature, the whole spirit of the people.
You're talking about sodade.
Exactly.
Sodade.
That word you can't quite translate, usually defined as, what, a deep nostalgic longing, a yearning.
Yeah, a sort of inherited sadness, really. It's born from centuries of isolation, hardship, and maybe most importantly, constant mass emigration, people leaving.
Right. So as a traveler, you're constantly swimming in this sort of dichotomy.
Right.
You've got the immediate joy, the open-hearted hospitality. What do they call
There's
that?
Morabeza. Morabeza, right. That sits right next to this deep, inherited, kind of beautiful sadness. The sodade.
Precisely. And that mix makes the destination surprising, uniquely rich. If you just show up expecting pure no-stress beach time, well, you're basically missing the whole point. The real story.
And that deep, beautiful complexity, that's the engine for our deep dives today. So our mission is to synthesize the true costs, the necessary logistics, the astonishing differences between the islands,
Yeah, they're really different.
the simple but hearty food, and the incredible diverse activities. And ultimately, we're answering critical question, is Cape Verde worth it? For the traveler who wants that rare mix beach relaxation, sure, but also vibrant culture and some real off-the-beaten-path adventure.
Yeah, we need to give you a kind of comprehensive roadmap, a blueprint maybe, for getting the most value and, maybe more importantly, avoiding the logistical headaches.
Yeah.
Especially in a place where, let's be honest, timetables are often just suggestions.
Huh. The no-stress approach to scheduling. Okay, let's start with the practical stuff then. Getting to the archipelago. It takes a bit more planning than, say, flying to the Med, doesn't it? Given its location way out in the Atlantic.
It does, yeah. You need to know your entry points.
Mhm.
The main international airports, the gateways, they're concentrated on the two main tourism islands.
Mm.
Sal, that's Amilcar Cabral International,
All right.
and Boa Vista, which is Aristides Pereira International.
Okay.
Now, if you're coming from Europe, especially Northern Europe, you'll often find direct charter flights. They're frequently bundled into package holidays with carriers like TUI.
Makes it pretty straightforward then.
Yeah, those make the journey quite simple. But if you're coming from the U.S. or many other places around the globe,
Yeah.
you almost certainly have to connect somewhere.
Usually Lisbon, right?
Usually Lisbon, yeah. Through TAP Air Portugal. The sources confirm that's the most common, usually the most reliable, and generally the easiest route into the country. Lisbon kind of acts as the unofficial hub for the whole archipelago.
Got it.
But hang on, before any of that, there's a really critical cost and planning detail, something you absolutely have to deal with up front.
Okay, what's that?
It's the compulsory airport security tax, the TSA.
Ah, yes, the TSA. About 31 euros per person, non-negotiable. Why do the sources stress dealing with this before you land?
Well, because it's this essential, non-negotiable hurdle to get in. You complete at the airport, especially if you're on a big package tour, they might handle it.
Ah.
But the recommended best practice definitely is to pay it online ahead of time, before you even leave home.
Why is that save hassle?
Because it stops you getting stuck in what can sometimes be a really, really long queue right after you land, which is, a pretty frustrating way to kick off a no-stress vacation.
Yeah, not very no stress at all.
Exactly. This one bit of prep, it can genuinely save you like 45 minutes of just standing around faffing about in customs.
Mhm.
That's a big win right at the start.
Okay, that is classic actionable advice. Duly noted. Pay the TSA online. Now, let's talk about moving around once you're actually there. This is where you, the traveler, have to make a pretty fundamental choice, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Our sources are totally unanimous on this. If you only stay on one island, let's say Sal, because that's common, you are only getting a tiny slice, maybe 1/10, they say, of the country's full story.
Yeah, that sounds about right. For the culturally curious traveler, this is basically non-negotiable. You have to island hop. The 10 islands, they're just so different. Geographically, culturally, even the climate can vary quite a bit.
Okay, so island hopping is essential.
Yeah.
What are the options for actually doing that?
You basically got two core choices for inter-island travel,
Mm-hmm.
and each one comes with its own significant trade-offs, pros and cons.
Right, option one?
Option one is flying, specifically using the local airline, Binter CV.
Okay.
This is the fastest way, using smaller local propeller planes. And actually, the journey itself is often mentioned as a highlight.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, the sources talk about flying low enough sometimes to really see the shapes of the land, the geology. Specifically, they mentioned seeing the massive volcanic peak of Fogo.
The big one.
Yeah, the big one. Seeing it rising spectacularly, kind of isolated up out of the clouds. It's an adventure just doing the flight.
Sounds amazing, but there's always a but, isn't there?
There is indeed. Here's where we immediately bump up against that no-stress philosophy again. How do you square the need for reliable transport with, well, Binter's laid-back schedules?
The punctuality issue.
Exactly. The sources give a really essential warning here. That local, relaxed attitude, it absolutely applies to their flight timetables. Schedules can be, let's say, flexible,
Meaning late,
meaning flights get delayed,
often.
and they can change or even be canceled with pretty minimal notice.
Okay, so that's a real logistical challenge then. You can't plan tight connections.
Absolutely not. If you got an international flight leaving Sal at, say, 2 p.m., you cannot risk flying in from Fogo or San Vicente that same morning.
No.
It's just asking for trouble.
You need a buffer day.
You need a significant buffer time. Ideally, fly into your international departure island the day before you leave the country. That lack of punctuality, it's probably the biggest potential source of stress for, Type A travelers.
Understood. And what about the cost of these flights?
Right, we have to talk about cost. These inter-island flights, if you buy them individually, they're not cheap. They can really eat into a mid-range travel budget pretty quickly.
Is there any way around that, like an air pass or something? Did the sources mention anything?
There is a strategy, yeah, but it requires some commitment up front. If you're planning to visit 3 or more islands, say Sal, Fogo, and maybe San Antone, some tour operators offer these pre-booked multi-island flight passes.
Okay.
That can bring the cost per flight down a little bit. But even with that kind of bulk purchase, flying between islands, it remains probably the most expensive single part of a typical Cape Verde trip.
It's the price you pay for seeing the diversity, I guess.
That's exactly it, the price of diversity.
Okay, so flying. Fast, amazing views, but expensive and potentially unreliable schedule-wise. What's option two?
Option 2 is taking the ferries.
Right, the slower option.
Much slower. But the ferries are significantly cheaper than flying. Sometimes like half the price for a particular journey.
Okay, that's a big difference.
It is. And they also offer a really authentic way to travel. You're traveling with locals, moving at a slower pace, more plugged into the community rhythm.
Sounds nice, but what's the downside? There's got to be one.
Oh, yeah. The downside, as our sources warn pretty clearly, is the Atlantic Ocean itself.
Choppy waters.
Very choppy. These aren't like smooth little Caribbean island hops. The waters between the Cape Verde Islands can get extremely rough, especially during the winter months when the Atlantic swells are big.
So seasickness is a real risk.
A very real risk. If you're prone to motion sickness at all, the ferry might make you seriously regret trying to save money.
And they're long journeys, too.
They can be quite long.
Yeah.
Multiple hours, depending on the route.
Yeah.
Like the crossing between San Vicente and San Antone isn't too bad, but some of the other routes, especially the longer overnight ones, well, you need a strong stomach and a genuine commitment to slow travel. Patience is key.
So, okay, you've got to choose. Speed and maybe better views with flying, but more expense and schedule headaches. Or authenticity and cost savings with the ferry, But you need patience and maybe some seasickness pills.
That's the fundamental choice for getting around. And either way, moving between islands is absolutely key to really understanding the country.
Which brings us perfectly to the islands themselves. Because, as you said, the choice of island basically dictates the whole tone and experience of your trip.
Absolutely. The biggest mistake you could make is thinking that what you see on Sao represents the whole nation. It just doesn't. We need to really contrast the main destinations the sources highlight and maybe go beyond just the big three tourist ones.
Okay, let's start with the one most people have probably heard of, Sal. This is tourist central, isn't it? It's the island that first put Cape Verde on the sort of mass market map.
Definitely. It mainly caters to those Northern European package holiday crowds. This is where you find the huge, all-inclusive resorts, the Ryu complexes, the Malia resorts built right there on the beach.
Right on the golden sand.
Yeah, its core identity is really designed for that classic fly and flop traveler. Someone looking for guaranteed sun, easy access to amenities, reliable infrastructure. You know what you're getting.
And the main town is Santa Maria.
Santa Maria, yeah, which fronts onto this really stunning stretch of coast. I mean, visually, it's world class. A long, wide beach, golden sand, that intense turquoise water. It's genuinely beautiful.
Here comes another but. The sources offer a really critical piece of insight for the deep diver, don't they?
They do. While those big resorts offer undeniable comfort and, security, staying only inside that all-inclusive bubble means you're actively choosing to skip the soul of the place.
You miss the real Cape Verde.
You miss the real Cape Verde. That's the key distinction. Sal is the gateway, yeah, but to get outside that bubble, to really engage with the local vibe, the local cuisine, you need to make a conscious effort.
Oh.
Seek out the smaller, locally run guest houses, they call them pensions, actually in Santa Maria town itself, not just on the resort strip. That's where you'll end up chatting with locals, finding the authentic little music spots, and eating the real Cape Verdean food, which is a completely different universe from the standardized resort buffet.
Right. So Sal is the comfortable starting point, but you have to actively step outside the resort walls to find the authentic experience.
Yeah, exactly. You have to make that little bit of effort.
Okay, next island. Boa Vista. You described it earlier as Sal's quieter sibling.
Yeah, quieter, more rugged sibling is how it's often seen. It's still primarily a beach destination, but it has a profoundly different feel to Sal.
How so? More rustic.
Much more rustic, yeah. Wild, dramatically laid back. There are far fewer crowds, much less overall development and infrastructure compared to Sal.
And the beaches.
The sources even suggest the beaches here are arguably more spectacular than Sal's. They're characterized by these vast, sweeping inland sand dunes.
Dunes, like a desert.
Exactly. It's like a mini Sahara experience right there on the coast. These huge dunes roll right down into the ocean. The geography is just more dramatic, more windswept, more isolated feeling.
Wow. And the main town there, Sal Rey.
Sal Rey, yeah. And it totally reinforces that vibe. It's much, much sleepier than Santa Maria. The buildings are less polished. The whole feels less developed. That sense of isolation is greater.
So who does Boa Vista appeal to?
It appeals directly to the traveler who really prioritizes space, quiet, and that sheer natural ruggedness over having, endless restaurants and bars right on their doorstep. It's the ultimate antidote to the crowded resort strip feel you might get on Sal.
Okay. Wild and quiet. Now let's go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. The Fire Island.
Yeah, Fogo. This is where any idea of a tropical beach vacation just evaporates.
Yeah.
And pure geological adventure takes over.
This is absolutely not a beach destination.
Emphatically not. Its whole identity is focused entirely on the volcano, Pico do Fogo, which is still active, by the way.
Still active. Wow. And the experience of staying there sounds intense.
It is intense, elemental,
Yeah.
completely otherworldly. Travelers stay in this tiny village called Chão das Caldeiras.
And that's not near the volcano?
No, it's literally inside the massive surrounding caldera, the crater itself.
You're staying inside a volcano crater.
Basically, yeah. The sources describe this profound sense of isolation and just raw geological power. You are surrounded by this stark, almost lunar landscape of black, solidified lava flows. It's rugged, black terrain everywhere.
And the volcano cone itself.
Looming right overhead,
Mm-hmm.
the immense, sometimes smoking cone of Pico de Fogo. Waking up there in the morning in one of the basic but incredible guest houses, looking out at these fields of black ash, it genuinely gives you the feeling of being on another planet.
Incredible. Fogo sounds like the raw geological heart of the whole archipelago.
It really is. But okay, for the cultural deep dive, we also need to talk about where the artistic heart is beating strongest.
Oh, okay. So not just geology and beaches. Where's the culture hub?
That would be San Vicente. If Fogo is the raw earth, San Vicente is kind of the sophisticated intellectual soul of Cape Verde. Its main city, Mindelo, is universally recognized as the cultural capital of the entire nation.
Why Mindelo? What makes it the cultural capital?
Well, this island is essential for really understanding those concepts of Morabeza and Sodade in action. Mindelo isn't famous for its beaches, not really. It's known for its stunning colonial architecture.
Oh, right. I read it looks like a miniature Lisbon.
Exactly. A faded miniature Lisbon. It's got this elegant but slightly melancholic feel. And its history as a major port means it's always been very outward-looking, connected to the world.
And the music connection.
Sodai.
This is the birthplace of Morna, the nation's most famous musical genre. And it was the home of the legendary Cesaria Evora.
The barefoot diva.
That's her. The cultural scene here is incredibly vibrant, especially in the evenings. If you're interested in the culture, you absolutely have to prioritize visiting Mindelo for the live music experience. Where would you find that?
In small bars, little restaurants, you'll find truly world-class musicians playing Morna, and also Coladero, which is a bit more upbeat. It's just where the cultural pulse beats the strongest. The whole atmosphere is more intellectual, more artistic, maybe a bit more cosmopolitan than the beach islands. It gives you crucial context for the whole country.
Okay, essential for the culture. Now, what about geographical diversity? You mentioned lush green.
Yes. To really grasp the sheer geographical range, you have to visit San Antão. You usually get there by a short ferry ride from San Vicente. Can be a bit choppy, mind you.
Worth it, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this island is the green heart of the country. It's a total geographical shock after the other islands.
Oh, so?
After seeing the dry, almost desert-like landscapes of Sal and Boa Vista, even Fogo's Black Rock, San Antão hits you with these dramatic, lush, green, mountainous valleys, especially the Paul Valley.
What's special about that?
It's noted for its incredibly verdant slopes, all covered in terraced farms, dense vegetation. It gets more rainfall and catches the ocean mist, you see.
So it looks completely different.
Completely. And because of that landscape, San Antão is paradise for the active traveler, the hiker. Its core identity is trekking.
Trails and walking.
Loads of them. The sources suggest dozens of incredible trail networks. They take you through tiny, remote villages that seem to just cling to the mountainsides, past fields of sugarcane, coffee plantations, all while giving you these spectacular views down to the ocean.
Okay, so we really have covered the spectrum now.
Definitely. The 10/10ths claim is justified, I think. You've got the tourist hub in Sal, the wild beaches of Boa Vista, the raw geology of Fogo, the cultural heart in San Vicente, and the hiking paradise of San Antão.
The diversity is just astonishing.
That whiplash from desert islands to lush green mountains sounds incredible. Let's talk about what fuels all that exploring: the food.
Ah, yes. Good point.
Our sources seem to agree that Cape Verdean cuisine is pretty straightforward. Simple, hearty, built around local, fresh stuff. That's exactly right. It's deeply nourishing, real comfort food. The emphasis is mainly on two key things: incredibly fresh seafood and the national stew.
Okay, let's start with the seafood because the sources rave about the fish, especially the tuna.
Oh, the tuna is exceptional. The abundance of fresh fish is incredible. The sources describe this almost perfect boat-to-plate cycle. Especially you see it in Santa Maria on Sal.
How does that work?
You can literally watch the local fishermen hauling their catches right onto the pier in the morning, and then just hours later, that same fish, often it's a huge steak of fresh tuna or maybe a whole grilled snapper or grouper.
Simple preparation?
The simplest. Lightly grilled, maybe just with garlic, salt, and a generous drizzle of good olive oil. It's perfection through quality and simplicity. Honestly, you should probably plan to eat fish every single day you're there.
Sounds good to me. But, okay, the real national dish, the one called the soul of the country on a plate, that's cachupa, right?
Cachupa, yes, that's the one. It's this rich, slow-cooked stew. The main ingredients are hominy corn.
What's hominy corn exactly?
It's dried maize, like corn kernels, but they've been treated in this process, usually with lime or alkali, which makes them puff up and actually makes the nutrients more available. It's an old technique.
Okay, so hominy corn and...
And beans, lots of beans, cassava, sweet potato, sometimes other root vegetables. It's a dense, complex, deeply satisfying meal. And it really speaks to the history of the country. Resourcefulness, making the most of what you have.
Why the hominy corn specifically was that always available?
Yeah, it goes back to the colonial times and the need for a staple food that would store well, travel well, and provide maximum energy, especially during the tough times, the droughts they've had. The slow cooking process just breaks everything down, makes it thick and really flavorful. It's more than just food. It's often a community thing, cooked in huge pots for everyone.
And there are two main versions I read, rich and poor.
Kind of, yeah. There's cachupa rica, the rich version. That one includes meat or fish, typically pork, maybe some local sausages,
Yeah.
sometimes cured fish. It makes it a very substantial meal, maybe more for weekends or special occasions. And the other one.
And then there's the more everyday version, often called cachupa pobre, the poor version, though it's still delicious. That's vegetarian, just focusing on the grains and vegetables.
Simple but nourishing.
Exactly. But maybe the most memorable detail, the one that really connects the dish to that whole no-stress, sustainable culture, is what they do with the leftovers for breakfast.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
They fry it up. The leftover cachupa from the night before gets fried in a pan, maybe with a bit of onion, until it's wonderfully crispy and caramelized on the outside. And often they'll put a fried egg right on top.
Wow, cachupa hash for breakfast.
Pretty much. It is the ultimate high-energy way to start a day, especially if you're going to go hiking or, deal with inter-island travel.
Okay, I'm sold on cachupa. What about drinks to go with this hearty food?
Right. The local drinks are just as central to the experience, but you need to approach the national spirit with a bit of respect.
That's the grog. Grog, yeah. It's a clear, pretty potent rum distilled from sugarcane. The sources describe it as having this raw, almost fiery intensity.
Is it made locally?
Very much so.
Mm.
The traditional way uses these really rudimentary sugarcane mills called trappages. You see them especially on islands like San Juan where the sugarcane grows well. It makes it a truly artisanal product.
How do people drink it? Straight.
Locals often drink it neat, yeah, just a small glass. But for the first-time traveler, that definitely second the recommendation in the sources. Start with a caipirinha.
Made with grog.
Exactly. They use grog instead of the usual Brazilian cachaça. The lime and sugar really help to cut through that raw intensity. You still get the sugarcane flavor, but it doesn't pack quite such a serious punch straight away. It's definitely not a light drink, though.
Noted. Approach grog with caution. What else? Beer.
For cooling down,
Yeah.
the local lager is called Strela. It's crisp, refreshing, pretty standard lager style, and it's everywhere. Perfect for the hot weather.
Okay. Anything else stand out?
The hidden gem, I think, of the beverage scene is the coffee, especially the coffee from Fogo.
Ah, grown on the volcano.
And right there in that incredibly rich, fertile volcanic soil, the verd lava fields we were talking about. And the coffee is universally described as being excellent quality.
What's it like?
It's dark, intensely flavorful, but also wonderfully smooth. That combination of the high altitude and the mineral-rich earth gives it this really distinct, delicious profile. If you make the journey to Fogo, trying this coffee is an absolute must, often drunk just black and strong.
Okay, so the food and drink message seems clear.
Yeah,
Skip the international buffet at the resort.
please do.
Seek out the small local places, the poisons, the little restaurants. That's where you find the amazing fresh fish, the soulful cachupa, and the potentially dangerous grog.
Exactly. That little bit of effort is rewarded tenfold with authentic flavor.
Right, so fueled up on fish and cachupa, what can you actually do? What's fascinating is how the island's unique geology and ecology seem to dictate the activities.
That's spot on. This isn't just a place to lie on a beach, although you can do that. It's really a destination for the engaged, active traveler. The theme across the whole archipelago is just sheer diversity. Adventure, really.
Okay, let's start back on Sal again. It's the most accessible, and it seems to offer a good mix of, geology, tourism, and adrenaline stuff. Hashtag day. Adventures on Sal, geology, and adrenaline.
Yeah, Sal's got some unique things. The first essential stop has to be the Salinas de Pedro de Lume.
The salt pans in the volcano crater?
Exactly. It's this salt pan inside the caldera of an extinct volcano.
Yeah.
And the water is incredibly saline, so salty from the heat and evaporation.
You just float. Like at Dead Sea.
Just like the Dead Sea, you float effortlessly. It's a really strange, very calming, and definitely highly Instagrammable experience. You're literally floating in this ancient volcanic remnant. Pretty cool.
Okay, what else? The Blue Eye.
Pinocona, yeah. Site of the famous Blue Eye. It's this natural lava pool, quite deep, and it connects to the open ocean through an underwater tunnel. It's beautiful just as a pool.
But there's a trick to seeing the eye effect, right?
Absolutely crucial trick. Timing. The sources really underline this. If you just go in the morning or late afternoon, it's, a nice pool, dark water.
So when do you go?
You have to visit right around midday,
Right.
when the sun is directly overhead. That's when the sunlight shines down into the deep hole, hits the sandy bottom maybe, and illuminates the water from below, creating that magical, intense, almost electric blue effect. Get the timing wrong, you miss the magic completely.
Midday for the blue eye. Got it. What about something a bit more thrilling? Sharks.
Shark Bay, yes. Here, you can actually wade into the shallow water near the shore. And you get to safely observe young lemon sharks swimming nearby.
Are they dangerous?
No, these are juveniles, and lemon sharks are generally considered harmless to humans, especially these smaller ones in the bay. But seeing them swimming around your legs, the sources describe it as a definite thrill. A really cool close-up wildlife encounter that needs respect, obviously, but not fear. Very unique for the region.
Okay. And for the real adrenaline junkies?
For them, Sal is genuinely cited as one of the world's best locations for water sports. Kite surfing, windsurfing.
Why specifically?
The archipelago just sits perfectly in the path of these really reliable trade winds, especially during the winter months, say November through April. Sal and Boa Vista actually host major international kite surfing competitions because the conditions, wind and waves, are just so consistently prime.
Right. So Sal has geology, sharks, and wind. What about Boa Vista? You said it was quieter, more rugged?
Yeah, on Boa Vista, the focus shifts away from adrenaline sports and much more towards profound nature experiences and wildlife conservation. Hashtag dead bee. Adventures on Boa Vista. Nature and wildlife.
Okay, like what?
Boa Vista is globally recognized as a critical nesting site for loggerhead turtles. Caretta. It's one of the most important nesting beaches or rookeries in the entire eastern Atlantic. Huge numbers come ashore here.
Wow, can you see them?
Yes, and this offers you, the traveler, a genuinely profound, quite emotional experience. Between June and October, roughly, is the nesting season.
And you can watch them.
You can join responsible, properly guided night tours. You go out onto the beaches in the dark, very carefully, and you can watch these magnificent, huge creatures hauling themselves ashore to dig their nests and lay their eggs.
That must be incredible.
The sources describe it as deeply moving. You're witnessing this ancient, monumental, natural process right up close. It really emphasizes the fragile beauty of these wild islands. It's unforgettable.
Amazing. Anything else on Boa Vista besides turtles? You mentioned dunes earlier.
Yes. The Viana Desert, this huge inland area of sweeping white sand dunes. They look totally out of place almost with the volcanic coast nearby.
Where does the sand come from?
It's actually blown across the Atlantic Ocean from the Sahara Desert in Africa.
Yeah.
That's what creates this mini Sahara right there on Boa Vista.
Incredible. How do you explore it? Just walk or...
You could walk, but the most fun way, according to the sources, quad biking. Yeah, renting quad bikes is recommended as this really enjoyable, rugged off-road way to get around the dunes, explore the landscape. It offers this high-energy contrast to the quiet serenity of turtle watching at night. It fits Boa Vista's wild identity perfectly. Hashtag MC. Adventures on Santo Antão. The trekker's dream.
Okay, turtles and dunes on Boa Vista. Now, you mentioned Santo Antão was the hiking paradise. We should probably detail that a bit more.
Definitely. Since we introduced it as the Green Heart, yeah, the main activity there is absolutely singular trekking.
Hiking. And the landscape makes it special.
Totally. That difference in climate allows for completely different experiences compared to the other islands. You can hike through lush coffee plantations, past these deep, dramatically carved ravines and valleys.
Any specific famous trek?
The trek down into the Paul Valley is often highlighted. It's considered one of the most scenic day hikes, maybe in the whole Atlantic region.
Well, it's like...
It often starts high up, near the crater rim, in this almost lunar, barren landscape. And then you descend sharply down through these incredibly lush green slopes, past fields growing sugarcane, mango trees, banana trees, coffee, right down towards the coast.
Sounds stunning. Are the trails difficult?
The trail networks are extensive. You really need a guide for most of them. The paths are generally well-worn, but they can be challenging, yeah? Sometimes quite steep, often carved into the sheer side of the mountains. But the payoff is seeing that massive geographical diversity up close.
So Santo Antão is really for the serious walker.
Yeah, it caters perfectly to the serious walker, the trekker. It provides that essential element of physical challenge and reward for the traveler who wants more than just a beach or a casual stroll.
Which brings us to the absolute peak, literally, of physical adventure in Cape Verde. reserved for those who make the journey to Fogo.
The ascent of Pico do Fogo.
Yes, this is the signature challenge, isn't it?
It absolutely is. This is a proper mountain climb. You're ascending the cone of an active volcano, reaching over 2,800 meters. It's over 9,000 feet.
Is it technically difficult or just hard work?
It's mainly hard work.
Yeah.
Challenging because of the altitude, you feel that, and the steepness, and walking on that loose volcanic scree and rock. It's uneven terrain.
And you have to start early.
Very early. To maximize the reward, the usual plan requires starting way before dawn, like 3.3 or 4.0 a.m. You climb up the steep slopes in the dark with head torches.
Why so early? For the sunrise.
To the sunrise, the reward is just, well, it's unparalleled. Reaching that summit just as the sun comes up, peering down into the massive crater, which often still has wisps of steam coming out,
Wow.
and seeing the clouds stretching out below you like this vast white blanket. It's an experience where, as one source perfectly put it, there are no words, just awe. Deeply humbling, connects you right to the Earth's raw power.
Incredible. And getting down, is it just as hard?
The descent. What goes up must come down, right? But here, getting down is nearly as memorable, maybe even more fun, than going up.
How? You don't just walk back down.
You don't walk, you run, or maybe ski is a better word, down the scree slopes.
Began the ash?
Yeah, down these slopes of fine black volcanic ash. It's exhilarating, it's slightly chaotic, you feel totally out of control sometimes, and it's incredibly fast. You sink in, maybe up to your knees sometimes, and just bound down.
So you get that much quicker.
In a tiny fraction of the time it took to climb up. One source described being an absolute mess afterwards, just coated head to toe in fine black dust, but laughing hysterically.
Sounds amazing.
That kind of humorous, raw, physical experience perfectly encapsulates the adventure that Fogo offers. The physical payoff is intense.
It really is a playground then, from gently floating in salt pans to scaling an active volcano and skiing down ash. Amazing diversity of activities.
So we've covered the amazing landscapes, the food, the adventures, but now we really need to shift focus. Get into the deeper layer, the culture, because this is what truly defines the Cape Verde experience, I think. This is what makes it worth it for the travelers seeking something more than just a holiday.
You mean the feeling of the place?
Exactly, the vibe, the feeling that just permeates every interaction, every moment.
Okay, let's start again with that phrase we keep coming back to, no stress.
Right, no stress. In practical day-to-day terms, this translates into a fundamental lack of urgency about, well, pretty much everything.
We talked about the flights.
Flights are late, yeah. Service in restaurants can be slow. Buses and ferries, they might not stick to the timetable. You just cannot import your usual big city expectation of promptness and efficiency here. It doesn't work.
And we established that the initial reaction, especially for a type A person, might be frustration, particularly with things like Binter flights.
It might be, yeah. But the sources also talk about the other side of it. The potentially transformative, almost liberating effect this concept can have if you surrender to it.
If you lean into the no stress.
If you consciously choose to just lean into it, accept that the pace is what it is. It forces this kind of inevitable slowing down of your own internal clock. It actually becomes a vacation for your soul in a way.
Teaches you patience.
Teaches patience, teaches presence. It forces you to stop demanding efficiency all the time and instead start accepting the environment on its own terms, which can be really healthy, actually.
And this relaxed acceptance, it seems to be wrapped up immediately in the way people treat you, the hospitality.
Yeah, that flows right into Morabeza, that beautiful, kind of untranslatable word again. It's this blend of hospitality, genuine friendliness, easygoing charm.
How does it feel in practice?
The sources consistently describe it as feeling genuinely welcomed, not just, tolerated as a tourist paying money, but actually accepted into the community space.
People are friendly.
Incredibly so. The observation is key. Strangers smile at you on the street. They say, hello, bom dia. They'll often take time to chat. Even if there's a language barrier, they'll try.
That must create a nice atmosphere.
It creates this palpable sense of community warmth. And importantly, that translates into a strong feeling of safety, especially noted for solo travelers. Feeling comfortable walking around towns, even at night. This pervasive warmth just creates a beautiful environment for genuine cultural interaction, not just transactional tourism.
Okay, so no stress sets the pace. Morabeza provides the warmth.
And that spirit of openness really sets the stage for understanding the country's deeper emotional heart, the music, the sodade.
Right. If Morabeza is the welcoming smile, then sodade is the complex shadow side, that beautiful, profound melancholy we talked about at the start. We should probably dig into the roots of that feeling a bit more.
Yeah, it's important context.
Okay.
Sodade seems to stem from a few intertwined things throughout history. First, just centuries of isolation. Cape Verde was a difficult, sometimes dangerous stopping point on those old Atlantic trade routes.
Hardship, too.
Definitely. Severe cycles of drought and famine have plagued the islands over the centuries, making survival itself really difficult at times. But maybe the most significant, most ongoing factor is the reality of constant mass emigration.
People leaving home.
Yeah. Since maybe the mid-20th century onwards, generations of young Cape Verdeans have had to seek work and futures elsewhere, mainly in Europe, the U.S., other parts of West Africa. They leave behind families, communities, and there's this constant longing for the home they left.
So it's the feeling of the person who left and also the feeling of the person who stayed behind.
Exactly. It's this deep, shared yearning. And that feeling is the absolute central theme of the national music, Morna.
Morna, the music of sodade.
It's the definitive artistic expression of it, popularized around the world, of course, by Susrai Evora. Morna music is characterized by its slow, often haunting, melancholic tempo.
What instruments do they use?
The instrumentation is incredibly soulful. The acoustic guitar is absolutely central, often accompanied by the cavaquinho, that's a small four-stringed instrument, kind of like a ukulele. Sometimes you'll hear a violin or a clarinet adding these mournful lines. It gives it this unmistakable, really intimate, sad but beautiful texture.
And you hear it everywhere.
You really do. It's described in the sources as drifting out of houses in the evenings, playing softly in the background at little local bars, especially in Mindelo, or maybe being performed live by incredible musicians at sunset on a pier somewhere. It's the soundtrack to the whole experience, in a way.
And it reminds
It
you.
reminds you constantly that the surface joy, the no stress, the morabeza, it's all tempered by this deep cultural awareness of life's struggles, of loss, of longing.
So how did those things fit together, the joy and the sorrow?
That's the synthesis that makes the culture so compelling, so resilient. That no stress vibe, it's not about ignoring hardship or pretending it doesn't exist. It's more like a commitment to enduring that hardship with grace. It's about finding profound joy in the simple present things, the music, watching the sunset, that fresh plate of grilled fish, being with family.
Embracing both sides.
Exactly. The culture seems to embrace the intertwined joy and sorrow of existence. It feels like a very mature, very resilient kind of happiness, something travelers rarely encounter in, typical fun in the sun destinations. It's deeper. Hashtag what to skip, avoiding travel pitfalls.
Okay, that cultural depth is really the key takeaway. So to make sure you, the listener, really maximize this unique experience, we should probably cover the pitfalls too. What should you actively skip or avoid to keep your deep dive authentic?
Good point. There are a few things. First, the obvious one. Avoid the blatant tourist traps that just lack any real authenticity. Specifically, the sources warn against buying the mass-produced, often imported souvenirs you find in those overly glossy shops, right on the main tourist drag in Santa Maria on Sal.
Stuff that could be from anywhere.
Exactly. Instead, you should make a point to seek out the local markets, or look for smaller artisan cooperatives. Find the authentic crafts,
Like what specifically?
like the unique pottery they make on Boa Vista, apparently, or genuine woven goods, textiles, baskets, maybe some interesting wood carvings if you get to the more rural islands. The point is to find something with a real connection to the place and ensure your money actually supports local artists directly.
Makes sense. What else to skip?
Second, manage your expectations about the nightlife. Cape Verde is an incredibly musical country, yes, but it is not a high-octane, banging party destination like, say, Ibiza or parts of the Caribbean.
It's more chill.
Definitely. While the music scene is fantastic, especially finding those live Morna and Coladera bars in Mindelo, that's a must-do. The overall vibe across the islands is decidedly relaxed, chilled out. If you're going expecting all-night raves and packed clubs, you're going to be disappointed. Expect great music, conversation, atmosphere, not necessarily wild partying.
Good to know. And finally, the biggest skip.
The biggest skip, yeah. The absolute greatest tragedy, I think, that a traveler could commit here is skipping the local culture entirely by just staying inside the walls of their all-inclusive resort bubble the whole time.
Never leaving the compound.
Exactly. That is the essential message we really need to underline. You've likely undertaken a fairly complex, maybe expensive, long journey to get here. You've dealt with the inter-island logistics, the cost trade-offs, all to reach this place with this unique cultural blend.
So don't waste it.
Don't waste it. The real failure would be to fly all that way and completely miss the very culture that makes the country unique and special. You must make the effort. Actively break free from the resort walls. Eat locally. Try to interact with people, even just a bon dia. And please, dedicate at least one evening to sitting somewhere and just listening to live Morna music.
That effort makes all the difference.
It transforms what could be just a standard beach vacation into a genuinely memorable, meaningful travel experience. It's the difference between, like, seeing a postcard and actually reading the book.
Okay, we have covered so much ground today, literally and figuratively. From the absolute necessity of island hopping
Non-negotiable.
to the extreme contrast, the desert boons of Boa Vista, the lush green mountains of Santo Antão, the high-altitude reward of climbing Fogo, the simple perfection of fresh grilled tuna and a bowl of cachupa.
Cachupa.
And those soul-stirring notes of Morna music, echoing that deep feeling of sodade.
Yeah. So after synthesizing all the logistics, the cost, the adventure, the culture we have to deliver the final verdict, the bottom line, is Cape Verde worth the investment? The time, the money, the required patience?
Our sources in our discussions seem to lead to a very clear but definitely conditional answer.
It's an emphatic yes, absolutely worth it. But
To the condition.
there's the condition. It's worth it if you, the traveler, are fundamentally curious. If you have a genuine appreciation for a deep, living musical culture. And crucially, if you possess the necessary patience to really embrace that no-stress pace of life.
And if you don't?
If you're a traveler who absolutely prioritizes military-grade punctuality, 5-star service standards at all times, and 0 unexpected delays, well, you might struggle. You might find it frustrating. But if you can relax, adapt, go with the flow, you will thrive and you'll find immense reward there.
I think the appeal of the diversity is maybe its a most compelling selling point. It really is a choose-your-own-adventure kind of place, isn't it?
Totally. In just one trip, you could genuinely combine, say, a luxurious, relaxing beach day on Sal,
Followed by
a rugged, off-road quad bike exploration across the wild dunes of Boa Vista,
and
then cap it off with an epic mountain climb up an active volcano on Fogo. All of it seasoned with this incredible, world-class, melancholic music in the background. Where else can you get that combination?
It's pretty unique, but let's balance the view just one last time. The main downsides. Why might it not be worth it for someone?
Okay, 2 main potential deal breakers. 1, it's not a super cheap budget destination, primarily because of the cost and complexity of those inter-island flights if you want to see the diversity.
Right.
That adds up. 2, that extremely relaxed pace, the no-stress vibe, while lovely for some, could genuinely frustrate travelers who expect and maybe demand prompt service and immediate solutions to any problem like you'd get in a highly developed tourist economy. It just doesn't always work like that there.
So who is the ideal traveler for Cape Verde? Who should be putting it high on their list?
The target audience seems pretty clear. It's ideal for, say, the adventurous couple looking for something different, the family who wants more than just building sandcastles, maybe older kids who can appreciate the culture and activities, and definitely the solo traveler looking for a place that feels safe, welcoming, but also offers a genuine, soulful cultural experience that really rewards engagement.
Which brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? To Sodade and Morabeza.
Exactly. The country's unique ability to hold both of those things at the same time, that deep melancholy alongside such genuine open warmth. It's a place that really does, as they say, get under your skin.
It leaves a mark.
It leaves an emotional residue, yeah. You might leave the islands physically, but the sources suggest, and I think it's true, that a small humming part of you kind of stays there. You find yourself thinking about it later, maybe humming a little more in a tune, remembering a sunset over a black sand beach long after you've gotten home. It lingers.
That's the perfect encapsulation, I think, of our deep dive into Cape Verde. A definite worth it, but you have to go prepared. Prepared to let go of your watch, maybe embrace a little chaos, and lean into the beautiful, soulful reality of it all.